Yeah, good to go.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome everyone to our second evening of fabulous readings from the MA Scriptwriting Showcase, work in progress from UEA. So for those of you who weren't here last night, thank you for joining us this evening. We had a fantastic evening of readings yesterday. It was a wonderful mixture of stuff, really eclectic range that was moving and funny and absurd, and I'm sure it'll be equally wonderful tonight. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, especially those who might have been here last night. Just recap the process that what you're watching is work in progress. So this is the culmination of the master's students' year, their dissertation. You'll be watching 10-minute extracts from 7 students' work. There's no, this is not complete work, this is in progress and it's first draft. Although if you'd seen last night, that was hard to believe because it was very polished, I think. But so the MA here is overseen by Steve Waters, who's on study leave at the moment, but is here supporting the students tonight. And my name is Sian Evans, and I teach script writing here as well, as does Ben Musgrave, who's also with us. So these pieces will be performed by the UEA Ensemble Lab, and I'll hand over to my colleague in drama in a moment to explain that. They've done the drama department, well, Mike and Molly, who is the artistic director of Coast to Coast Theatre Company, have done a fantastic job curating these evenings. And so we're full of gratitude for that, for their inspiring work here. So I think you're in for a treat, if last night was anything to go by. Just a word about, if you want to get in touch, please do leave feedback in the chat. That would be really, really helpful for students. This is part of their experience, part of the learning process, that they have an audience and they are able to air the work in this way. So please leave comments and opinions. And if you want to get back in touch with us about anything that you've seen, just email me or my colleagues here at UEA. I'll be putting up the program, the updated program, in the chat, both for the actors and for the writers, about halfway through this evening. So you'll have that as a reference as well. And lastly, in terms of Zoom, it's a much better experience if you switch to gallery mode, and you also hide non-video participants. And you do that by clicking on the 3 dots at the top of your screen when it's hidden. And it'll say hide non-video participants, and just click on that. So I'll hand you over to Mike Bernardine now in drama to talk a little bit about the acting company here at UEA, which is largely alumni and current students, drama students, and thank you.
Thank you, Sian. I won't say too much except to say we're incredibly blessed with the number of students who graduate from UEA and happy to stick around and stay involved. And in lots of ways, one of the benefits of being on Zoom for a year and a half has been that we've been able to stay in touch with a lot more of our students than just the ones that are local. But the UEA Ensemble started really as an alumnus project. It served its purpose in lots of ways that way, but this year we've opened it up to undergraduates as well, delighted to kind of fold them into the work that we were doing, not least because of course there have been much reduced opportunities for them to perform, so it's great to actually meld those two communities together and go on a journey together. We're delighted again to support the MA Scriptwriting Showcase. We enjoyed it online last year. It was a learning curve for us, having done it at the garage and other places before that. Molly's been a fantastic right-hand person to be able to rely on. She's the technical whiz here and running it all together, but also, as Sian said, the artistic director of Coast to Coast, which is an alumnus theatre company as well. I don't think I really want to say anything else except thanks again to the actors who are giving up their time and have given up their time to read and rehearse as much as we had time ready for this evening. I hope you enjoy it all. Thank you, Molly, and thank you, Sian, and thank you all the other tutors and colleagues and actors and everybody in the world. Love and peace.
Shall I just ask Katie, now who's the first person to show her work, just to introduce it briefly?
Yeah, so I'm Katie. I'm originally from Canada. I was an actor, then a playwright, and now I write for film and TV, still write plays a bit. So my dissertation is a satirical comedy TV series titled 1353. It's set in the Middle Ages, which was truly a horrible time to be alive. not unlike today in many ways. So this extract is from the pilot episode. So far, we've been following Matilda, who is very curious, very bored. She's a newcomer in the hamlet of Runsmore and very unhappily married to William. And she just feels really alone and not sure why. She's really ahead of her time and doesn't really understand that yet. But in this pilot, she meets two people, Amelia and Ranulph, who also don't quite fit in. So she kind of has the promise of friendship, and that's, I think, where we start tonight. So yeah, take it away.
Interior, Matilda's thatched house, main room, evening. William noisily eats his soup from the stone bowl. Matilda watches in disgust.
Is it too spicy? I added an extra cabbage leaf.
William slurps.
How was work? I went to the market today. Prices have gone through the roof with this plague, but the quality. I mean, eggs the size of your thumbnail, radishes filled with sawdust, and Gertrude's dairy. Well, we can all believe that's not butter.
He tips his bowl to slurp Mole. It's gross.
And I saw the wagon pass by again. Pretty sure I saw Robert the carpenter on it. Do you reckon we'll get a refund for that fence work he was doing for us?
William belches.
Yeah, probably not. I walked by the stables too. Roland wiped his ass. That foal has never looked so clean.
William slams down his bowl.
You've been neglecting your wifely duty, Matilda.
What are you talking about? I always trim the matted hair around Uranus.
Not that duty. You're fine with that one. I'm talking about children. When are you going to give me a son?
Whoa, where's all this coming from?
It's been 2 years. Walter John's wife has given him 4 children in that time.
Matilda squints, doing the mental math on that one.
4! To my none.
Well, only 1 in 4 survive childhood, so let's just wait and see which one of Walter's makes the cut.
You are 18 years of age. Your most fertile days are behind you now. Don't you wish to be a mother?
I just think, is now really the best time? What with the plague and the economy and the little ice age just starting? We still have 70 years left in the 100 Years' War. So, you know, ethically, I think we should just be asking ourselves, like, what sort of world would we be leaving for them?
William loses his shit. His fists pound the table.
Ungodly woman, you will obey me, or I will see to it that you're thrown in the stocks for the rest of your days. You will give me a child. Tonight. Tonight, I will fill you with my sperm, which are filled with tiny people.
I have a headache.
Interior, thatched house, bedroom, night. From above, Matilda stares at the ceiling as William, on top of her, lets out an absurdly high-pitched orgasm. His back is extremely hairy. William rolls over and immediately begins to snore. Matilda continues to stare at the ceiling. She smiles.
I think I made a friend today.
She blows out her bedside candle. Darkness. Interior, thatched house, kitchen, morning, day 2. Matilda stares at a pot of boiling water on the stove. After a moment, she upends the burlap sack of maggot grains into it, stirring to make a thick porridge. Interior, thatched house, main room, morning. Matilda sits across from William as he greedily eats the porridge. She smiles at him, which, for a man who never smiles, is not a welcome gesture. He finishes, drops the bowl, and heads out.
Have a nice day. You too, honey.
Interior, thatched house, main room, morning. Matilda does some squats. As she does, she glances out the tiny window and sees Amelia's house. The house door is open, and she can see inside as Amelia argues with her large husband, 40s. Amelia is easily half his size. Matilda stops squatting to have a look. Things appear to be getting heated when the man pushes Amelia roughly. She falls out of view. Matilda winces. He storms off. After a moment, Amelia's door slowly closes. Exterior, Amelia's thatched house, morning. Matilda knocks on the door. No answer. She knocks again.
Hey, Amelia. It's Matilda. The Pisces Aries cusp from across the road. I came over yesterday. You wrung out my wimple for me. I complimented your home. You asked me why I moved here. We both shit in holes.
The door suddenly opens a crack. Amelia only shows a sliver of her face.
Are you for real right now?
Hi. I just wanted to say, well, hi, and see if you're all right. I saw what happened and I...
Fuck off.
She slams the door in Matilda's face. Matilda stands there for a moment, stunned. Exterior, goat yard, day. Goats graze in a small patch of fenced-in grass. A small wooden hut is off to the side.
What do you mean you don't have it?
Interior, goat hut, day. William sits across from Hugh, 20s. Slicked hair, tight trousers, shiny shoes, the medieval equivalent of a fuckboy.
My words are plain. I do not have the Lord's payment at this time, nor will I have it for any foreseeable harvest. Now, if you will be satisfied.
William stands. Hugh puffs his chest.
Nah, dude. I'm not satisfied. Like, at all. And you know Lord Ewan won't be either. Bro's up to his balls in dowry debt and needs those fat stacks of hay. Stat.
William gets in his face and speaks menacingly. Hugh tries not to cower or smell the air.
Tell your lord he sold me a fallow fife. No amount of toiling that blighted dirt mound will produce one stalk of hay, and tell him it is an insult to me that he sends such an idiot messenger to my place of work.
William pushes past. Hugh chokes on the stench of William's mouth before following him out into the exterior, goat yard, continuous.
You can't just not pay. That's not how feudalism, like, you know, the rules are, you have to, like, there's a contract, dude.
A goat bleats at Hugh and he screams.
Ah!
William picks up a metal pail and starts back towards the goat hut. Again, Hugh follows.
Come on, man. Level with me. What are these things?
What things?
These fugly little sheeps.
William stops walking and listens.
Lord Ewan would take them as payment. Faux show. I don't know if you've heard, but my dude's got a banging feast coming up. Fancy as fuck. I mean, the guest list is off the chain. We've got the hottest new harpists, a meet and greet with Edward III's personal concubine, and the Duchess of York is coming through with her girls. We're totes going to behead mad peeps. Anyways, I'm sure we'll be needing more meat for the banquet, and these little sheep things can't taste too bad with a bit of ale to wash them down.
Hugh leans in. He's doing William a favour here.
I might be able to swing you a free ticket if you know any wenches you can bring along. 13 plus.
We think William might be considering, but then he swings the metal pail into Hugh's head. He goes down like a sack of potatoes. Exterior, Amelia's thatched house, day. Amelia exits her house to find a big pot on the ground. She lifts the lid. It's full of some kind of soup. Interior, physician's house, day. A screaming preteen, 12, gives birth as Doc Wood, 60s, an overworked and underpaid quack, catches the red-faced bundle. It's a girl.
A girl?
Doc cuts the cord and wraps the baby up in a cloth. He hands it to her. The preteen rolls her eyes.
Oh, worst 12th birthday ever.
Be with you in just a minute, Matilda.
Whip pan to Matilda, who sits in a wooden chair just off. She looks traumatized, having witnessed the entire birth. Cut to interior physician's house, later. Matilda sits across from Doc Wood at his desk. He eyes her up, unconvinced.
Does your husband know?
Oh, yes. In fact, it was his idea. He truly sees me as his equal. What did he say the other day? A woman's body, a woman's right. What a guy.
He eyes her unconvinced.
So, what are my options?
Not much. We don't really have birth control. Infanticide is the go-to method.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
Well, there's not much else. A man's semen is full of tiny people, you see.
Yeah, tiny people, got it.
And there's been very little research about what's really happening inside the female body.
Well, hopefully one day that will change.
I suppose the best I can give you is this.
He reaches into his desk drawer and pulls out a tiny shriveled prune. He hands it to Matilda.
Wear that around your thigh during sex. It should frighten the tiny sperm people enough to not want to colonize your stomach.
What is it?
A dried weasel testicle.
Doc Wood stands. So does Matilda. He ushers her to the door.
Let me know how that works out. Ranulph, I'm ready for you.
Whip pan to Ranulph, sitting in a chair off, perusing a handwritten magazine titled Ye Olde Reader's Digest.
Just let me fetch my gloves. I got some fresh hog manure for your boarding ointment.
Doc Wood heads off, leaving Ranulph and Matilda to have a terribly awkward moment.
He's not going to put it on my head.
It's a weasel nut.
Interior, Matilda's thatched house, main room, day. Close on, hands roughly kneading dough the colour of dirty dishwater. The hands ball the dough up, angrily. A fly lands on the wooden countertop. The hands grab the dough ball and kill the fly with it. The fly is now stuck to the dough as the hands continue to knead it. Reverse, the hands belong to Matilda. Interior, Matilda's thatched home, main room, later. William, 47, mostly nose and hair, noisily eats the freshly baked grey-coloured fly bread. Matilda sits across from him. There is a slight sparkle behind her eye as she thinks of the hidden insect. Interior, thatched house, bedroom, night. From above, William lets out a high-pitched squeal as Matilda looks up at the ceiling, bored. Once William rolls over to snore, she checks that the dried weasel testicle is still in place, wrapped around her thigh with twine. Satisfied, she blows out her candle. Darkness.
Thank you everyone. Oh, that was great. Okay, next up we have Lacey Austin's piece, which I will introduce. Okay, so this piece is called We Begin Where We End. So this is a post-apocalyptic film, but one that isn't necessarily about the end of the world, but the beginning of a new one. So after a catastrophic pandemic, the Barnes family have spent 15 years surviving off the land in the holiday park they once owned. In all that time, they haven't seen another human being until today, when daughter Vix injures what she thinks is a deer, but is in fact a young man. So this scene is in its very early stages, but Lacey hopes everyone enjoys listening to it nonetheless. So, thank you.
Exterior, Barnes Holiday Park, Woodlands, night. Vix, eyes scanning the darkness, alert, slinks through the darkness. Sensing something, she keeps low, treads light. Careful not to make a sound, her hand clutched on the grip of her bow and arrow. It's cold out here. Her breath trembles. She stops, listens, hearing the sound of rustling, the sound of movement coming from within the darkness. She tightens her grip on her bow. She slowly circles, not quite sure where the sound's coming from. Suddenly there's a loud snap, the clatter of cans from a triggered tripwire from behind. She wheels round, quick to aim her bow and arrow, fires. A loud yowl echoes in the air. Her eyes widen. What was that? She stands frozen still, her chest heaving. That was no animal. She blinks, swallows down the sudden lump in her throat, quickly pulling another arrow from her quiver bag. Then, bow and arrow poised, ready, she tentatively edges forward, towards the groaning that now emanates from within the dark. She brushes aside branches, creeps further into the darkness, the groaning getting louder and louder, closer and closer, until suddenly Vix stops dead in her tracks. Her eyes flash with panic. She stands paralyzed, heart racing as a young man lies wincing in agony before her. The arrow protrudes from his thigh, his right arm clutched to his chest, gushing with blood. He cries out, clearly in pain. Vix swallows hard, doesn't know what to do. Panic rising, her mind racing. She wants to run, wants to help. She goes to move towards him, hesitates. A thought niggles in the back of her mind. What if he's not alone? Her eyes scan the impenetrable darkness, the depths of the trees. Then her eyes drift back to the young man, takes him in. She wrestles with herself. She shakes her head, takes a deep breath. Fuck it. She lowers her bow and arrow, rushes to help him. She kneels down beside him. He twists in pain.
I'm sorry. I thought you were. Oh my God.
She glances at his bloody arm, then at the arrow stuck in his thigh. Shit, it's gone right through. She really doesn't know what to do, too panicked to think.
Shh. You'll be all right. It will be okay.
On Vix, doubt spreading over her face. Exterior, Barnes Holiday Park grounds, night. A fire crackles. The flames dance in the fire pit as Dell and Sherry sit on log benches around the campfire. Dell warms his hands over the open flames. Sherry stands tending to a teapot that hangs off the spit. Sensing something, Sherry glances over her shoulder, sees Vix racing towards them.
Oh, Vix, where have you been? I've put a pot of tea on.
Someone in the woods.
Dell's head snaps up.
What?
What? What do you mean?
I've seen them.
Sherry and Dell exchange a look. What the fuck?
No, that's not possible. We haven't seen.
I thought he was a deer. I shot him.
If this is some sort of joke, Vix.
It's not. Come quick, please. We have to help him, please.
The panic in Vix's eyes, the urgency in her voice is all too real. Dell and Sherry share a brief nervous glance. Then Dell quickly rises, grabs his weapon.
Take me to him.
Vix nods. Then as Dell goes to follow, Sherry moves after them. Dell turns back, eyes his mother, his face unreadable.
Mum, you should wait here. We need someone to stay. Just in case.
Sherry considers this, nods gravely. Then Dell turns and hurries after Vix. Alone, Sherry looks around the huge expanse of the land, trying her best to remain calm. She wraps her arms around herself. Under the shadow of the wavering firelight, a disturbed, troubled look passes over her face. Exterior, Barnes Holiday Park, woodlands, night. Vix and Dell cut through the woods. It's a mad rush.
He's just up here. Quick.
They push aside the branches and find the young man laying there still. On Dell, trying to hide his anxiety at seeing this young man. He does an immediate sweep of the vicinity, begins to cover the young man in leaves.
What are you doing? We need to help him.
We can't.
He'll die.
That's not our problem.
We can't just leave him.
Yes, we can. Now come on and help me cover him.
Vix doesn't move.
I can't, Dell. I can't. He needs help.
Why should we help him?
Why shouldn't we?
We know nothing about him, Vix. Who he is, where he's from, nothing. And after all these years...
I know, but...
Do you know what this means? If he's here, there could be others. It's not safe for us.
So we just let him die. Pretend this never happened.
Exactly. It's only us. No one will know.
Whatever happened to doing what's right?
Interior, cabin, night. The door to the cabin bursts open. Dell and Vix haul the young man inside. They lower him onto the bed. Sherry hurries in behind them.
Vix, light a candle. We need light.
Vix nods. Sherry rushes to the young man's side. As Vix lights the candle, the room blooms in harsh shadows. She moves the candle towards the bed, illuminating the face of the young man. He's looking pale. Beads of sweat dot his forehead, barely able to keep his eyes open. Sherry reaches out, steadies his rolling head.
Keep your eyes open for me, all right? Do we know anything about him? Where he came from?
No, nothing. He was just in the woods.
I'll have to go out again, search the woods again, see what I can find.
Take Vix with you. I don't want you going alone.
You're not staying alone with him. We don't know who he is.
I want to help.
Vix.
It's my fault he's here. I'm helping him.
Sherry eyes her, shifts her anxious glance to Del.
I'll be fine. I don't need any distractions. I'll just do a patrol, make sure there's no one else there, and come back.
Be careful.
Del nods. A look passes between them, and as Del rushes out, Sherry watches after him. An apprehensive look flits across her face, but she has no time to think before...
What are we going to do? We can't leave him like this.
Sherry sizes up the young man again, the arrow in his leg. She thinks.
I'm going to have to take the arrow out.
Vix regards her mother, swallows.
It's the only way. I think we'll need to make some kind of tourniquet. Quickly, in the medical box, we'll need something to clot the wound, stem the bleeding, something we can use to twist the fabric, increase the pressure. There should be some sticks. And scissors. Find me some scissors or anything I can cut his trousers with.
Sherry turns back to the young man, taking his face in her hands once again, feeling his clammy skin. Vix, a little slow, blinks, then nods, as if finally registering what's been asked. She rushes to the medical box. As she roots through it, we see their supplies, some improvised, some clearly years old. Vix falters as she picks up a few of their improvised bandages made from old cloths and towels. Sherry notices.
Quickly, Vix. The longer it takes.
Vix hurries back to Sherry, hands Sherry the bandages, the scissors.
You going to be okay doing this?
Vix nods. Sherry places her hand around the stick of the arrow, braces herself. Her eyes flick to Vix.
As soon as I pull this out, you'll need to put pressure on the wound. 3, 2, 1.
As Sherry pulls out the arrow, the young man screams. Exterior, Barnes Holiday Park, grounds, night. It's eerily quiet. Just the rustling of the trees, the sound of the crackling fire. Sherry stands beside it. She stares blankly out into the darkness, eyes glittering in the firelight. Behind her, the cabin glows, the gentle tremble of the candle in the window. The night crackles with a strange heaviness. Just then, a shape quivers in the darkness. Sherry senses it, glances about. She stiffens as the shape takes form. A darkened mass moves towards her. Then a voice.
It's only me, Mum. It's all right.
Did you find anything out there?
No, seems like he's the only one. I'm going out again first thing.
He nods his chin towards the cabin. Through the window, we see Vix tending to the young man, who is now asleep.
How is he?
Alive. It will take a while for him to get better.
How long?
There's no telling. I'm no nurse, but there's a risk of infection.
Should have left him.
You did the right thing.
Del shoots her a look. Their eyes meet, neither quite believing that to be true. Then...
I don't know how this is even possible. I thought everyone...
So did I.
How long do you think he's been out there?
Del glances at her.
I don't know, Mum, but he's not staying.
It falls quiet between them.
I'll stay watch tonight. We can't let our guard down. Not until we know who we're dealing with.
They both look back at the cabin.
Thank you, Lacey. That was great. Good. Okay, next up, we have Garbacz with Pighand. So Seb, do you want to say something?
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Great. My name is Sebastian Garbacz, indeed, and I am a writer, a director, and an actor. And I wrote a film called, I'm still writing it, called Pighand, and it's about a man named Michael whose hand is very distinctively looking and who struggles to accept himself. And I think that's enough.
Pighand. Fade in. Interior, Michael's flat, bedroom, day. A horrible sounding alarm clock goes off. It's 8 a.m. A hand in a strangely shaped brown leather glove falls down onto the alarm clock, switching it off. The glove has no fingers and its shape would suggest the hand inside is formed into a fist. The glove has a drawstring to make sure it doesn't go off the hand. Michael, 50, thin, depressed, takes his hand back from the alarm clock. Moving only his head, he looks outside the window. He sighs. He slowly sits up on the side of the bed. He's wearing white boxers, a white t-shirt, and, of course, the glove. He looks miserable, not tired, but depressed. Interior, Michael's flat, bathroom, day. Michael opens the toilet, which looks like it's not been properly cleaned in a long while. With his normal hand, Michael turns the glove, which he's no longer wearing, inside out. A small, deformed metal ball, roughly the size of a chickpea, falls out of the glove into the toilet. It makes a sound when it hits the water. Inside of the glove, there's a sewn-in plate of metal. It's regularly bent. Michael puts on the glove again, but we don't manage to see his hand. Interior, Michael's flat, kitchen, day. The kettle is finishing boiling the water. Michael is looking ahead of himself, not present. The kettle is done. A few seconds later, when he realizes he's been staring into the distance, Michael pours the boiled water into a French press. The kitchen is a mess, which is emphasized by the fact it's so small. Dirty dishes are lying around everywhere. He opens a cupboard filled with bottles of iron supplements. He takes one bottle out. The label says iron 45 milligrams by 60 capsules, and in red, bold letters, do not exceed 2 capsules a day. Michael pours the contents of the bottle, all 60 capsules, into his hand and takes them a few at a time, drinking them up with water until they're all gone. He throws the bottle into the bin. Interior, Michael's flat, living room, day. Michael is sitting on a sofa. In front of him on the table, there's a cup of coffee and the French press, a calculator, a bunch of papers, and some cash. Michael is writing down some calculations with a pen on a piece of paper. He punches in some numbers into the calculator and writes down the result number under monthly budget. He then takes the cash and counts down a number of banknotes and puts the rest on the side. He looks at the cash and thinks. He uses the calculator, crosses the number under monthly budget and writes down a smaller number next to it, then crosses the number written under monthly savings and writes down a greater number. He counts down a few more banknotes and takes the cash he counted with him. He stands up and walks towards a cupboard inside of which there's a small safe. He opens it. Inside there's 2 stacks of banknotes with label stickers in front of them. Ellie and New Hand. He splits the cash in his hand into 2 equal parts and adds them each to the stacks in the safe. He closes the safe. Interior, Michael's house, living room, day. Later. Michael, now dressed in a shirt and trousers, is standing next to the door, putting on a jacket. He takes a pen attached to a calendar on the wall and makes a cross on the last Saturday of March, which, like every other Saturday on the calendar, has, in big, bold letters, Ellie written on it. Michael leaves the flat. Exterior, Roger's house, day. Michael is standing at the front door of a house. He rings the bell. A moment later, Roger, 70s, grumpy, opens the door. Roger looks at Michael, no expression.
Ellie, your dad's here.
I'll be there in a minute.
Interior, car, day. Michael is driving the car. Ellie, 17, sporty, very enthusiastic, is sitting in the passenger seat. Michael tries to break the silence.
So how's school?
Seriously?
What?
That is the most boring question in the world, Dad. Ask a better one.
Well, okay, it's interesting. How was, I don't know, what else do you do?
Dad?
Ellie pretends to cover her amusement with a very obviously fake frown until she can't hold it and chuckles.
Okay, that was a 4 out of 10 one. Pretty big improvement from your usual. 4 out of 10, Dad. Nothing to be proud of.
Okay, sure.
You're unbelievable.
Yeah, I love you too, sweetheart. Hey, sweetheart, what's wrong?
You say that, but you didn't even come to my match.
Oh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I really wanted to, but work,
Ellie takes a second before looking at Michael. Michael looks at her. She starts smiling very subtly, as if she couldn't hold it any longer. Michael notices that.
Oh, you little bugger.
I win.
How dare you? I was genuinely upset I couldn't come,
I know, Dad, I know. I'm sorry.
So, how did the match go? Oh, no, I'm not falling for that again. You won, yes?
Yes!
Well done, you.
We kicked their fucking asses, Dad.
Hey, don't swear.
Dad, I scored 2 goals and we won the most important match of the season. I'm legally allowed to swear. I'm so fucking happy. And there's no other word in the entire language that can express it better.
Okay, well fucking done then.
Oh, and Dad, Mr. Blake said, well, he didn't really say that. I think he wasn't allowed to say that yet, but he strongly suggested that a manager of a professional team was watching the match.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I know, right? I mean, it might be nothing, but I don't know. I have a feeling, but I'm not going to get my hopes high for now.
Well, fingers crossed.
Interior, crappy pub, day. Michael is ordering at the counter. The bartender, Katie, 40s, makes a few clicks on the till.
At all?
Yes, thank you.
Interior, crappy pub, day. Later. Michael and Ellie are sitting at a table. There's 2 plates of half-eaten English breakfast and 2 cups of tea in front of them. Ellie is deciding whether to ask.
Dad, can I talk to Pighand?
Well, I'd rather not. There's a lot of people here.
Oh, Dad, please. Dad, you will never be happy until you let go of your insecurities and accept yourself as you are. And no one will probably even notice. And if they do, then what? Even if they look at you weird or something, what do you care? You don't even know them and you'll probably never have to talk to them. They literally don't matter. What they think of you doesn't matter. You know what does matter? Me and what I think. And I want to talk to Pighand.
You're very smart, aren't you?
I know.
You're a lot like your mum. She'd be happy that we still come here.
Come on, Dad, let me talk to Pighand.
Okay.
Please.
Fine.
Yay.
Michael unties the drawstring of the glove. He takes the glove off, revealing his hand. It is shaped literally like a pig's head. Only the ears and eyes are missing. There's no fingers except for what looks like a pig's bottom jaw, which could perhaps be considered a thumb. It's probably the only way the hand is capable of grasping things. The nose is very pronounced and indeed has 2 holes in it, just like a pig's nostrils.
Hello, Pighand.
Michael puppeteers the Pighand, giving it an annoying voice.
Oh no, you again.
Oh, it's nice to see you too.
Fuck off. Hey, don't be mean to her. Piss off, old man. Why did you take me out? Well, she wanted to see you. Well, now she's seen me. Put me back in a fucking glove.
Hey, don't swear at my dad.
Oh, look who's talking. Right, that was fun. Now put me back in a...
Fuck me!
Michael and Ellie look at the drunk guy they just heard. Jimmy, 30s, quite beefy, bad tattoos. Michael gets uncomfortable and immediately covers the pig hand. Ellie looks at the drunk guy with pure disgust. Jimmy approaches them, pointing at the pig hand.
Man, that's one fucking nasty hand.
Katie, the bartender, leans over the bar.
Jimmy, leave them alone.
His hand looks like a bloody pig.
Well, at least his face doesn't.
Michael turns to look at Ellie, scared. Jimmy turns to Ellie.
What the fuck did you just say?
She didn't mean that.
Jimmy, come on. Let's get you another drink, eh?
Jimmy takes a couple of steps towards Ellie. He's pissed. Michael gets up and stands in front of Jimmy, blocking him from Ellie.
Easy, easy.
Jimmy grabs Michael and throws him to the side. Michael falls onto the chairs on a nearby table.
Dad!
Jimmy, stop it!
Jimmy advances towards Ellie.
What the fuck did you just say to me?
Michael gets up and starts walking towards Jimmy.
Hey, you leave her alone.
As Michael gets close to him, Jimmy turns around and punches Michael in the face. There's a sound of a gunshot inside the bar as the force of Jimmy's punch causes Michael to take a few steps backwards and fall onto the bar counter. Jimmy screams. He falls onto a table and grabs his side.
Fuck! He's got a fucking gun.
Katie looks at Michael scared. He doesn't have any gun, but there's a little bit of smoke coming out of the nostrils of the pig hand.
What the hell?
Michael looks past Jimmy at Ellie. He notices. Oh no.
Ellie?
Wow, thanks, Seb. That was very original and very touching. Okay, next up we have Dan Clark. So Megan and Jonathan kill their parents. Dan, do you want to say anything?
Hiya. Yeah, so Megan and Jonathan kill their parents is quite self-explanatory as a title. But it's a dark comedy, coming-of-age film about two teenagers with really strained relationships with their mums. We follow Megan, who doesn't get on with her mum because she's quite prim and proper and old-fashioned and can be a bit nasty. And Jonathan, who doesn't get on with his mum because he thinks that she murdered his dad and he's intent on investigating that and proving that. So it takes place in this slightly surreal, prim and proper English village. And it's kind of a familiar low-stakes high school drama that gets darker and darker as it goes on. And eventually Megan and her mum will be placed in quite a lot of danger as they get wrapped up in Jonathan's life. So yeah, that's it really. Like it's a real work in progress, but I hope you enjoy it.
Interior, Margaret's bedroom, day. Margaret Metcalf, 50s, lies in bed, halfway through an excellent dream. She has bleach blonde hair and a wide smile, the rest of her face hidden by a fluffy pink eye mask. A pair of manicured hands enter the frame and remove the mask. Margaret's eyes are bright blue and framed by crow's feet. Kind eyes. She looks over to a digital alarm clock on the bedside table. 7:59. She grins. It ticks over to 8.
Good morning, everybody in sunny Blue Wave Bay. I'm Ricky Robinson.
And I'm Robin Richardson, and you're listening to Ricky and Robin on this fine rocking morning.
Margaret hops out of bed, spinning to a wardrobe and pulling it open.
It's Sunday morning at 8 a.m., the day of our fish-giving, table-flipping Lord Jesus Christ.
But you won't find me and Ricky down at the church this morning.
Margaret looks into the wardrobe, thumbing through a row of identical pink dressing gowns. She pulls one out and puts it on.
Oh, no, sir. We're too busy worshipping our own Lord, our own Saviour.
Old school rock and roll.
Their voices fade out, an upbeat 50s rock and roll song blasting from the radio. Margaret dives back onto the bed, rolling over to her sleeping husband, Mike, 50s, and kissing him on the cheek. Margaret and Mike look eerily similar. You could easily mistake them for siblings.
Morning, Sleepy.
I was just dreaming about you.
I hope it wasn't a nightmare.
Interior, the Metcalfe's kitchen, day. Margaret stands at the hob, her hands moving between two frying pans, both filled with eggs and mushrooms. The 50s rock continues from a radio on the kitchen counter, Margaret robotically wiggling her hips to the music. Interior, the triplets' room, day. Margaret backs into a children's bedroom, gingerly pushing through the door. She's carrying a cluttered wooden tray, covered with plates of food. The room is every 8-year-old's dream, massive, colourful, and tasteless. The carpets, walls, and furniture are divided into 3 themed sections: princess, cowboy, and astronaut. Rosemary, Pepper, and Basil, all 15, are sleeping in separate sections, their lanky teenage bodies crammed into children's single beds. They're practically identical, blonde hair, blue eyes, and matching stripy pyjamas. Margaret looks over her kids, beaming, proud. Interior, the Metcalfe's kitchen, day. Margaret stands back at the kitchen counter. She grabs one of the frying pans, letting the remaining food flop out onto the final plate. It's burnt. Interior, the Metcalfe's landing, day. Margaret walks across the landing, plate in hand. She stops at a doorway and reaches for the handle. She takes a deep breath before going inside. Interior, Megan's room, day. Megan's room is dark and disgusting, the floor covered with dirty clothes, dirty bowls, and little bottles of vape liquid. Margaret looks around the room, her smile faltering for the first time as she spots the filth. She shakes her head and blinks hard, forcing a smile back onto her face. Her eyes fall on Megan's bed, her daughter visible underneath the covers.
Rise and shine.
Margaret walks to the bed, grabbing the duvet and pulling it back, revealing a pile of dirty clothes and a basketball, positioned to look like a person. Margaret freezes in place, staring at the basketball. A post-it note is stuck to the rubber. It reads, "Sorry." Margaret blinks, freezing for a beat. Her grin gets bigger, lips stretching out until her cheeks look ready to split. The plate starts shaking in her hand, her eye twitches.
You fucking bitch!
Margaret explodes with anger, the facade cracking. She hurls the plate at the bedroom wall, the ceramic exploding across the room. She spins around, kicking Megan's door open and storming into the hall. Interior, Margaret's bedroom, day. Mike sits in bed chewing on a pencil, trying to do the weekly crossword. He smiles to himself and grabs the pencil out of his mouth. Eureka!
Armadillo.
Margaret bursts into the room. Mike jumps, dropping the pencil and throwing the newspaper to the side.
What is it? The triplets?
Margaret stares at him. Her blue eyes have gone cold.
It's Megan! Megan! Megan!
Interior, Robbie's lounge, day. Megan, 17, is passed out on a living room floor, the top half of her body jutting out of a sleeping bag. She has dark brown hair.
Megan, you gotta get up.
Robbie, 17, looms over her. He's a bit of a stoner, bloodshot eyes wide and worried. He shakes Megan's shoulder.
Meg?
No luck. Robbie scratches his chin. He reaches to his right, picking up a half-drunk bottle of beer. He has a sip, grimaces, and splashes the liquid onto Megan's face. She doesn't move.
Jesus Christ.
Megan gasps, sitting bolt upright as she bursts out of a nightmare. Robbie scrambles away from her, traumatized. Megan squints her eyes, slowly coming out of a dream. She looks up at Robbie.
Sorry, I had a bad dream.
Megan frowns, raising a hand to her cheek and feeling the liquid on her face. She pops a finger into her mouth, tasting it.
Is this beer?
I don't know, maybe.
Megan looks to the bottle of beer, still in Robbie's hand. She frowns.
Minging.
Megan pulls herself to her feet, wriggling out of the sleeping bag. She looks around the living room, looking over the aftermath of a teenage house party. Cans, bottles, and sleeping teenagers strewn across the furniture.
What time is it?
It's still early. It's just that my mum has some voicemails.
Oh. Right.
From your mum.
Yeah.
17 of them.
Can you drive?
Probably not.
Can I borrow your bike?
Interior, the Metcalf's kitchen, day. Megan and Margaret sit in silence at the kitchen table, holding eye contact. It's a standoff. They start chewing their nails, practically in unison. Margaret catches herself in the act and quickly lowers her hand back to the table.
I was just at Robbie's.
Robbie's a moron. He thought Australia was in Europe.
When he was 12. You called his mum 17 times. She's on holiday.
In April? Bohemians.
17 times.
Oh, I'm so sorry for worrying about you, Megan. I'm so sorry for loving you.
Margaret jumps to her feet, her chair sliding out behind her.
I made you breakfast in bed this morning, you bitch.
Megan reacts to the insult, pulling herself up and facing off against her mother. They go nose to nose, gritted teeth and trembling hands. Margaret smiles. This is what she wanted.
You're a monster.
Megan breaks away, spinning around and walking through the kitchen. Margaret slams a fist down on the table, calling after her.
Fried eggs and bacon, Megan. Fried eggs and bacon.
Megan keeps walking. She passes a doorway and looks inside. The triplets sit on a sofa in the lounge, staring at the TV. They're dead behind the eyes, still dressed in their pajamas. Megan rolls her eyes, heading upstairs. Interior, Megan's room, day. Megan sits at the end of her bed, pulling her shoes off. Margaret appears in the doorway, towering over her daughter.
Grounded. 2 weeks.
Megan jumps to her feet, grabbing her shoes and throwing one of them at her mum.
Grounded? I'm 17.
You're acting like a toddler. A trashy little toddler.
I'm a young adult. I have a car. I get back pains.
3 weeks. No phone.
I'll just climb out the window.
You'll break your legs.
Oh, you'd love that, wouldn't you?
If it stops you from wrapping them around Robbie.
Megan freezes. She drops her other shoe.
We're not... Me and Robbie aren't together. Do people think we're together?
I don't know or care what people think.
Margaret points to Megan's window.
Just remember, dear, osteoporosis is hereditary. You have my hollow bones.
Margaret slams the bedroom door. We hear a key turn in the lock, trapping Megan inside. Megan charges the door, pounding against the wood with a clenched fist.
Mum! Mum, please!
No response. Megan sighs, turning around to survey her prison. She spots the broken plate on the floor, bits of egg tangled into the ceramic.
Fuck this.
Megan walks towards her window, pulling open the moth-worn curtains. She opens the window and swings her legs outside, sitting on the windowsill. She leans forwards and looks left, surveying the road. A removal van sits on the curb, a squad of movers carrying boxes into the neighbour's house. Exterior, Jonathan's front garden, day. A battered people carrier pulls up behind the removal van. A spotty teenager, Jonathan, 17, climbs out the back of the car. He's dressed in black clothes, his skinny frame swamped by a baggy hoodie. Jonathan looks around, assessing his surroundings. He spots Megan, spying on him from the window. They make awkward eye contact. Jonathan slowly raises a hand and waves. Megan frowns, waving back. Jonathan nods, satisfied. He turns away and walks inside the house. Megan looks at her hand, still raised. She quickly lowers it, embarrassed.
Freak.
Megan snaps back to reality, shaking her head and flicking her hair. She takes a breath and hops out of the window. A thump off screen, followed by a snap.
Oh, for fuck!
Exterior, secondary school car park, day. Megan is cut off by the ringing of a bell. A school car park at 9 a.m, cars honking, buses hissing, and teenage boys throwing sweets at each other. Megan sits in her mum's car, feet kicked up on the dashboard. She's dressed in a charcoal blazer, smart trousers, and a heavy pink arm cast. She's scratching at the cast, digging her fingernails under the plaster. Margaret watches on, shaking her head.
I warned you.
My legs are fine.
Megan gets out of the car, slamming the door behind her. Exterior, secondary school playground, day. Megan trudges onto the school playground, a half-empty backpack strung over one shoulder. Robbie is leaning against the playground's chain link fence, surrounded by a group of year 8s.
I've got Pall Mall and Marlborough, £20 a pack.
Have you got any unbelief?
Megan approaches the group. She taps the squeaky kid, 12, on the shoulder. He turns around, a £20 note clutched in his shaky hand. Megan snatches the cash out of his hand and puts it in her pocket. She gives him a warm smile.
Thank you.
Oi! He hasn't given me his ciggies!
I can't put a price on healthy lungs.
She shoves the kid, sending him sprawling away. He runs off into the playground, his friends scurrying behind him.
That was mean. You're mean.
I just stopped a child from smoking. I'm lovely.
Megan takes off, heading across the playground. Robbie rolls his eyes and smiles, hurrying after her.
Thank you, Dan. It was wonderful, dark and pithy and funny. Okay, next up we have Hugh Shepherd-Cross with Lunch. So Hugh.
Hello.
Say something. Okay.
Yeah, so this is just an extract from a play I'm trying to write about a sort of depressed food critic who's trying to organize like a grand sort of blowout lunch, and in the style of kind of Willy Wonka collecting the 5 kids from the chocolate factory. He's trying to find sort of the 5 like sort of biggest sort of hedonists to have the sort of Death Wish lunch. So it's just the critic explaining what's going on.
Scene 1. Sitters is sitting at a table in a restaurant, slowly drinking a glass of red wine.
75 smackers it cost to see this therapist. That money could have got me 3 courses and a respectable bottle of claret down Riccardi's. And I feel an awful lot more jolly after a good fucking lunch than an hour of talking about my complex relationship with my uncle. The funny part is her office is above the most ghastly fucking Chinese place. One time I bumped into Dogger afterwards. I'm looking like a sorry fucker. He says, "You all right, Sitters?" I say, "Fine, mate. Just been contending with a harrowing chow mein." Didn't suspect a thing. The other time I go to see her after a good fucking lunch. Sat there without a worry in the world, happy as Lazarus, ended up talking about her problems just to pass the time. What does that tell you? The proof's in the pudding, and the pudding's a delicious fucking cannoli washed down with a good measure of passata de passata. A few weeks back, Hillsworth's talking about his cousin. Says he's out to lunch. I say, sounds like a good chap. What's he having? Hillsworth clarifies it's a well-known fucking idiom that he's been institutionalized for attempting to burn down a corner shop. He makes light of the situation. Reminds me how we used to call the Ivy on West Street the IV because it was an intravenous fucking drip keeping us alive hanging by a thread. That night, I go out for supper with Mick, Chops, Dogger. I'm complaining that out to lunch is synonymous with whacked in the head, and if anything, people don't spend enough time out to lunch. That when you see the fucking frozen sandwiches people eat, it's no surprise they're queuing in droves to throw themselves off Tower Bridge or wherever else they throw themselves off these days, that there's a queue round the corner for the proverbial self-service checkout. Big Chops notices the conversation's taken on a bit of a melancholic flavour. Asks what's the best fucking lunch in the history of time. Dogger thinks it was the cavemen, after they'd first discovered fire, learnt to flash fry a chunk of mammoth. Says the thrill would have been unparalleled. I suggest it was Columbus, looking back over the Atlantic, eating his linguine al tomate for the first time, about to smoke the primordial ciggy. Mick thinks it was a burger and chips he had with his old chap before they went paintballing in 06. I get a bit cocky after a few glasses, a bit carried away, suggest the great lunch of history is yet to take place, that I was born to this earth for one reason only, and that's to deliver mankind from its lunch and dodging sins. Before I know it, I've set a date, booked the Reza. The topic of guests arises. I say we'll have to be highly selective. Tell the lads it's unlikely any of them are going to make it other than in a logistical capacity. Mick starts talking about what he could bring to the table. I say, you could bring the bread and fucking olives, mate. I tell him if I have any chance of this venture being taken seriously, I'm going to have to cast the net far and fucking wide. I'm going to be taking applications, holding trials, auditions. I want the finest soaks, the most distinguished gluttons. I want Sir John fucking Falstaff and Augustus fucking Gloop. I want soldiers, kamikaze motherfuckers willing to die for this lunch, slump dead into their pudding from a hearters as the lethal dose of clotted cream enters their veins. Ring my therapist next morning, cancel our session, tell her I don't need to see her anymore, things are on the up. Takes the wind right out of my sails, says we've been here before and what happened. Says you don't want to end up like your uncle. Says I've got an unhealthy preoccupation with lunch. I'm in the fucking Dorchester reviewing their new Thai menu. Can't be rude because the owner pulls a lot of strings. I'm sat there thinking, this is my future. Jumped up adverts, never going to create great art, never going to write a novel, never going to host a big lunch. Might as well be done with myself there and then get off. Amongst other things, get out of the big fucking tab I've wrapped up at Wilton's this year. Then Dogger rings me, says, he's got the perfect candidate.
Scene 2. Sitters and Dogger sit facing each other in an old school greasy spoon cafe. Norman sits on a table across the room from them, eating from a gargantuan platter the size of about 5 full English breakfasts.
Rather dark flavour to this hangover, contending with some nasty old bastards upstairs.
This will sort you, no doubt.
A waitress approaches.
Can I get anything for you, sir?
2 number 4s, please. Spare us the tomatoes.
The waitress gives Sitters a smile, then walks back towards the kitchen.
Like it when they call me sir down the calf. Gives me a spring in my step. Walk on like a merry nobleman, knighted for my services to sausage and chips.
That fucking smile. Can't go anywhere without seeing it. As soon as I walk into any place, people think the long arm of critical acclaim has finally reached out to provide justice. The guardian angel has been sent, and along will be the travellers who've seen the Michelin star in the east and come to worship. Since I started writing the odd broader cultural piece, people think I'm attending every second of my life in my capacity as a reviewer at the dry cleaners, buying a pack of ciggies from the off-licence.
Getting your wanger checked at the clinic.
Quite. Fantastic decor, polite service, and a certain je ne sais quoi to my diagnosis of possible knob rot.
You're off your rockers, Sitters. It's just customer service. Plain and simple.
I am going mad. There's no denying it. That's what this stuff does to you. I'm going to end up like great Uncle Osbort.
Didn't know him.
Lovely, caring fucking man. One day comes down and announces he's being chased by the CIA. Wouldn't trust anyone other than his wristwatch. Dictated his every move. Dad was a bit fucking miffed once at Rowley's when Osbort announced that by the watch's decree he was under no circumstances paying for lunch.
On which note?
Oh, yes, of course, yes. Where's our man?
3 o'clock.
Sitters turns across to look at Norman.
Cool, blimey.
Every morning. 5 full Englishes. Exceeds the daily recommended of your average family. We'd only stand a chance if we got the cousins over, single-handedly keeping the English fried bread industry afloat. When he kicks it, there'll be redundancies all across the northeast.
Do you know the chap's name?
Not a clue. The unknown soldier. Except you wouldn't catch him fucking with a boiled egg, fried and scrambled only.
Oh.
Has to wolf it down in 20 so he can get to work.
What is his line of work?
A roofer.
That's rather precarious.
Yes. One theory is that he did have a family. He used to bring them here, but they died in a roofing accident. He keeps their memory alive by eating for the rest of them.
This is all in your head, isn't it, Doggers?
I've been eating alones quite a bit since Jane left.
The vital question is, if you could have 4 people to lunch, dead or alive, Would he really be on the list?
No. I'd have the Wright brothers, Cleopatra, and my late father. But we don't really have the powers of necromancy on our side.
What am I going to say?
Are you shaking?
I'm not used to this kind of frontline investigative journalism. Ideally, I'd have a few drams of grouse and a flak jacket.
Are you fucking all right, mate?
Sorry, I'm feeling a bit touchy this morning.
Been thinking about those sweet and sour noodles again.
Right. I'm going in.
Sitters wipes his eyes, stands up, walks over to Norman's table and sits down in front of him. There is a heavy silence. Norman slowly looks up, like a bear that has been disturbed feasting.
Oh, great. That was great, Hugh. Some wonderful, witty language there as well. Good. Next, we have Hattie Manton. Like and subscribe.
Cool. So mine is a screenplay. It's a kind of teenage comedy about a girl called Heaven who decides to become an influencer to give her and her sister a better life. And it kind of I'm trying to be satirical in the way I talk about influencer culture, and kind of show that in a light-hearted way, in the influence of the influencer and the damages that could do.
Like and subscribe. Scene 6. No one wears Gap. Exterior, outside Dalton House. Evening, dark outside. Heaven swings into the compact driveway, knocking over a couple of tacky-looking plant pots with dishevelled, disgustingly dead leaves. She slams the door shut, and as she does, the other wing mirror drops off.
Of course.
She hears screams from Paige's bedroom window, and then the shoe-zone plimsolls are launched in front of Heaven as she approaches the door. A few various other garments follow, also being aggressively launched, accompanied by Paige's yells.
Everything all right, Paige?
Paige leans out of her bedroom window, mascara screaming down her face. Pretty scary.
Does it look like everything's all right?
Oh, Lord.
Interior, Paige's bedroom. Heaven enters. Paige is still throwing stuff aggressively out of the window. Heaven rushes over and tackles her to stop throwing things out the window.
Paige, stop that. What are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're being a bit dramatic.
Paige looks at her. Heaven raises her eyebrows. Paige sighs and sits down on the bed. Heaven sits next to her.
No one wears Gap. It's uncool.
Who says it's uncool? Those wrongers from lunch? You really give one what they think?
No, not just them. Everyone at Holbrook. Doesn't help that half this stuff is too small for me. I got uninvited to Imogen's birthday because I wore plimsolls.
Oh, seriously? Oh, who gives a shit about these things? I mean, Imogen and her lot are so cliquey anyway. Who even cares what she thinks?
Me, okay? I'm not like you. I care what people think of me. I care about getting called dirty every day and getting rinsed for having the shittest phone in my year. I care about not being able to get certain apps on it, meaning I'm left out all the group chats and no one taking my snap seriously because the fucking Android quality is so crap. And now, thanks to our Gucci mother, I care about not having a phone at all. I care about sticking out like a sore thumb in the car park because of your terrible car.
Heaven shows some offence taken by this.
I care about never being able to say yes to plans like going out for meals, not being able to get the good makeup brands, not being able to invite anyone around because of this shit show of a home with our shit show of a mother, and I care about having to wear fucking £3 plimsolls just because my mother drains all our benefits on fucking tequila.
She takes a moment to breathe.
I know it's shit, Paige. I know it's so shit. I mean, those plimsolls, I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. But you shouldn't feel like you need those things to be accepted. You just need.
But I do. I do, and I care, and I always will care. I care about getting uninvited to a party because it was my chance at feeling like a normal teenager for one night and not the povo fat kid with clothes too small for her.
Heaven is overwhelmed.
Someone called you fat?
People always do. In PE, when I wore that white polo top, the boys were like, don't crop it if you're gonna flop it. It's not even a crop top. It's 8 to 9 years because Angela hasn't bought me a new PE kit since like year 4. Whore.
Okay, Paige, you're not fat. Okay, just because you don't look like Imogen,
It's not just that, Heaven. That's just one thing on the list. Right now in this world, there's a certain criteria you have to be socially accepted. And that's just how it is. That's just 2021, especially at that school. I can't change that. You can't change that. No one can. We just have to accept it. I just wish there was one part of me that fit in with that criteria, one flipping part, one tiny bit of acceptance.
Heaven shows concern. Clambering and laughter is heard. Paige and Heaven look at each other, eyes widened. They rush out of the room. Interior, top of the stairs. Paige and Heaven stand at the top of the stairs, revealing at the bottom Angela and Mr. Neal. Angela is stumbling all over Mr. Neal, clearly drunk. Angela looks up at them.
Hey, girlies. I thought I'd be asleep.
Girls' jaws simultaneously drop.
What's going on?
It was parents' evening. I forgot to. It's only 6 p.m, Angela.
Angela slips on the floor, creasing, laughing. Mr. Neal goes to pick her up.
Oopsie. Hey, kids. Great parents' evening. You both did fine. You know Mr. Neal, right? History teacher. Now we are going to go make history of our own.
She gropes his dick. He raises his eyebrows, excited. She drags him by his tie into the living room. Paige and Heaven stand, no expression.
I am terrified.
Paige, tears in her eyes, runs into her room. Heaven stands alone on the top of the stairs, concerned. Interior, Heaven's bedroom. She dials a number on her Nokia. It buffers for a while. She gets frustrated. She bashes the phone on the wall a couple of times. Finally, the phone starts ringing.
Hello? Oscar and I are on our way.
Oh shit, no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to cancel on you guys.
Interior, Oscar's car. Amy is sat in the passenger seat armed with Shrek 2 and carrots, iPhone 10 to her ear. Oscar is driving.
Oh, seriously? We brought carrots with hummus and Shrek too.
Oh, that would have been class, but trust me, you don't want to be here.
Heaven pulls the phone down for a second, alarmed at the sound of hideous sex noises. She gags and shivers.
What's up? What's happened?
Oh, Angela came back from parents' evening spangled as expected. And she's brought back Mr. Reed.
Amy is now scoffing baby carrots, with a mouthful.
No way. Hey, did you hear that Heb's mum?
Oi, shut up, don't tell him. It's not funny. Paige is mortified. Cat's going to be out the bag now about Alkian for sure.
Oh, shit. She all right?
Heaven peeks out the door to see Paige's door shut with a notice on saying, "Enter at your own peril," and hears sobbing. She then looks back out her window and sees more clothes flying down to the driveway from Paige's room. She presses her lips together and shakes her head, taking a deep breath in.
Fuck it, let's try sell 12 quid green tea bags.
Amy's face lights up. Her and Oscar look at each other.
You what?
The project? Influencer thing? I've got to do something here. Let's try and make me the next Gilly sister.
She dramatically looks into the distance, phone still to her ear. Angela stumbles in, half naked in some questionable police roleplay outfit, lipstick smudged over her face.
Don't suppose you got a butt plug we could borrow?
Heaven presses her lips together.
Tomorrow. We need to start this tomorrow.
She slaps her flip-up phone down, pushes Angela out of the room as Angela makes some drunk grunting sounds and slams the door.
Thank you, Hattie. That was really uncomfortable and funny at the same time. Wonderful stuff. Okay, we actually our last piece, which is Alex Finney and the purple dress. So Alex, are you there? Good.
Just doing a little introduction thing. Yeah, basically my life involves a lot of D&D and a lot of being transgender. So I sort of merged the two into one script about this teen boy who plays D&D as a female character for the first time. And sort of that makes you question your gender identity a bit and sort of comes out as trans at the end. Lovely stuff. It's kind of split in between this epic fantasy movie that is the game they're playing and this sort of very teenage, very coming of age movie that's the real world stuff. This scene comes about a third of the way in when it's sort of the game is sort of in full swing and the character of Morgan has all these feelings that they're struggling to understand and just process.
Interior. The realm of Urbemsula, the king's palace, night. A white and gold palace wall, with a painting of a knight in full armour standing to attention hanging on it. With a thud and a crack, a Zohar, the court wizard, is thrown against the wall, knocking the painting down with him. Thin silver hair coated with blood, pale, dressed in robes. He looks worse for wear. An axe blade appears at a Zohar's neck, and he presses himself flat against the wall, whimpering.
Please, I'll do anything that you...
Terence, a towering and buff minotaur with half-singed fur in a tailcoat tuxedo, holding the axe, interrupts.
Eat a dick!
He shoves the axe forward. It slices cleanly through a Zohar's neck, and his surprised expression rolls to the ground. The axe cuts through the canvas of the painting and lodges into the wall. Terence smirks.
What the fuck, Terry?
Huh?
Torrell, a young man in immaculate blue and white religious robes, stares at Terence with wide, glowing orange eyes.
We were going to question him.
What?
We're never going to find out who ordered the raid now.
No. You have healing magic.
Yeah, I've got cure wounds, not fucking reattach head.
Right. It's kind of a wound.
Torrell pinches the bridge of his nose. Torrell looks to the ceiling.
Would that work?
From above. From nowhere. From everywhere.
Sure. Roll a nat 20.
Fine. Tish, hold the head in place.
Tish, a nervous-looking elf in a lilac ball gown, gawks at the idea. We're definitely not being invited to the next gala.
That's a given.
He crouches down next to Zohar's body, the forming pool of blood staining his robes. He waves over Tish, who also kneels, grabbing the severed head and holding it in place at the bleeding neck. Tish leans over to Torrell. This counts as a help action, right? Torrell thinks for a moment. Torrell and Tish both look upwards.
Fine. Both roll.
Tish and Torrell both focus on the body in front of them. Torrell places his hands on the body and they start to glow. Next to each of Tish and Torrell, an ever-changing, flashing number appears, quickly and randomly cycling through 1 to 20. The cycling slows down. Torrell's number stops at 18.
So close. How'd you do?
Tish sheepishly avoids his gaze, a floating 1 above her shoulder.
Did it?
The head in Tish's hand starts screaming. Tish starts screaming.
Ah!
Pain! I'm in pain! So much pain! Mind-boggling! Non-ending pain! I was dead and at peace, and now I'm alive and in pain! Ah! Somebody!
Zohar's screaming is cut off as he dies for the second time in 3 minutes. We're definitely going to hell.
Oh, yeah.
Interior, the real world, Marie's bedroom, afternoon. Light blue walls, a big bed, oak wardrobes, and a massive window letting in light. Heavy metal band posters, Powerwolf, Ailstorm, etc. Another poster of a red dragon breathing fire upon a mountaintop. Morgan sits on the floor, leaning against the wall beneath the window, using a thick textbook as a support as he fills out a maths worksheet. His hair has grown since we last saw him, and looks shaggier. Beside him is his rucksack. Across from him is a stack of papers and textbooks, and a beanbag with an imprint where Marie was sat moments ago. Now, Marie is stood on the other side of her room, rifling through her closet. Both are still in their school uniforms, but have loosened their ties.
What did you get for 2A Part 4?
Part IV.
Yeah.
Haven't got to it yet. Just finished part III.
Part 3?
Yeah.
I'm struggling with it.
Give me a second, I'll come back. Just looking for this.
Marie pulls something from her cupboard. It's a ball gown, very similar to the one Tish wore in the previous scene.
This is what I was thinking of when I described Tish's dress during the last session.
Where'd you have that?
I did LARP last summer.
The thing where people in fields hit each other with fun swords.
He gestures to the dress and grins.
What do you think?
I think I'm reassessing how cool I thought you were when we first met.
Fuck off, I am cool.
Right. Course.
Marie hangs the dress up on the outside of her wardrobe and returns to the floor, lying forward on the beanbag and going back to her worksheet.
Oh, I lied. I have done part 4.
Did you get 16.7?
13.2.
Bollocks. Where'd I go wrong?
Show.
Morgan turns his worksheet to show Marie. She taps a part of his working with her pen.
You divide by 4, not multiply.
What? Thanks.
He crosses out his previous working and redoes the question. Marie starts scribbling answers onto her own worksheet. Morgan chews the end of his pen. He looks up at the dress hanging on Marie's wardrobe, for the first time giving proper attention to it. It's a medieval gown with puffy shoulders and a corset body, trimmed with pieces of lace. A centuries past brand of beautiful. Morgan takes the pen out of his mouth, his attention now fully on the dress. A breath catches in Morgan's throat. Marie hears this and looks up at Morgan. She follows the eye line of his dilated pupils.
You like it?
Pardon?
You like the dress?
Looks expensive.
Want to try it on?
What?
We're probably the same size.
Oh, yeah. Well.
Clammy hands tighten their hold on Morgan's textbook. After a deep breath, Morgan clears his throat and forces his attention away from the dress.
No. Why would I?
Oh, go on.
Pardon?
You'll feel very pretty, I'm sure.
Morgan's throat tightens when Marie says pretty.
No thanks.
Please.
Leave it.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious.
Oh, don't be a pussy. I know that you...
Just fuck off! Okay?
The room rings silent for a beat after the shout. As soon as he raises his voice, Morgan regrets it. Marie's eyes are wide. Her shock turns into an offended scowl.
Fine. Sorry I said anything.
Marie,
It's fine. Let's just finish the work.
Morgan watches her block him off entirely and go back to working on her worksheet. The only sound is the scratching of pen on paper. Morgan looks up at the dress. He frowns at it. He shakes his head and returns to his own worksheet.
Well, that was really touching, Alex. Well, we've come to the end of another evening of fantastic work. So I'd just like to thank everyone. Thank the actors, the writers, of course. Thank Mike and Molly for their fantastic curating of this evening and all the hard work that they've done. And so maybe we could all see each other and unmute and give everybody a round of applause.